Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Sheldon, and this is Behind the Enthusiast. Today, we are going to take a stroll down memory lane, I suppose, and talk about, well, for those of you who have seen my Buell video, the most popular video on the channel, 29,000, almost 30,000 of you engaged viewers. This video is actually for you guys, because this is something that I think I briefly mentioned in a previous video. However, I never really expanded on it fully, and that would be my first ever and only time on a Buell. Now, this is from quite a few years ago. I think it was maybe the first season of riding, so about 6 years ago when I had my DRZ. Now, the Buell in question that I rode, this was a used one at a dealership. I'm not going to mention the dealership. I know someone who worked there, so in case they think I'm throwing shade at the dealership, I won't even mention who they are. But the bike in question was an 1125 CR, and it was red. I don't remember what year it was, but this bike came up for sale. I saw it on Kijiji, I believe it was, and at the time, obviously I was, still thinking about getting a Harley or even a Buell. I still didn't really know a whole lot about them at that particular time. However, obviously, I saw this as an opportunity to, first of all, ride the bike, and second of all, potentially buy the bike, because the price, I don't really remember how much it was, but let's just say it was about $7,000, because Buells were, I would say, reasonably priced about 5 or 6 years ago, and right now they either are astronomically priced or they're about the same. So, and keep in mind, this is the Canadian market. I'm in Canada, I'm not in the US. So I go to the dealership on my DRZ. Some of the guys actually know who I am, because like I said, someone I know worked there. And so I go in, shoot the shit with them for a little bit, and then I don't know if it was the sales manager or not. He ends up bringing me out to the bike, start it up, tells me that an employee had actually taken the bike home the prior weekend, tested it out, everything was running fine on it. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So the bike seemed to be in good condition. I wasn't there strictly for the test ride. I actually was interested in buying the bike at the time. And so not really nervous, I'm pretty confident in my abilities to ride. I had rider training where I rode, I would say, 5 or 6 different bikes. So when it comes to riding different bikes, honestly, it doesn't make me nervous at all. You just take it easy, learn the clutch, the characteristics of the bike, you just kind of adapt to them and you feel it out a little bit. And so the beginning of my ride was literally just that. I'm riding through the city a little bit. I plan to basically take the bike for, 15 or 20 minutes. That was about it. So going through the city, running through the gears, and the bike seems really cool, sounds cool, handles really nice. I thought, all right, this is city driving, feels really, really nice. And I'm basically planning to drive through the city for about 10 minutes and then take the highway back. So in total, 15, 20 minutes, because the highway section is about 1 kilometer, maybe, for where I plan to ride. So riding through the city, no issues whatsoever. And then I got to the intersection, which was an intersection with lights. And there were 3 cars in front of me, and we came to the stop. So I was going to be turning right, so I was prepared to move. And when the light turned green, the bike stalled. Now, obviously, this is a used bike. It's something that I'm not really used to. I'm thinking, this is weird. So I put up my hand, said, hey, like, sorry to whoever's behind me. The bike stalled. So I figured it's not starting right away. I'll pull over. So I'm sitting there looking at the bike, and I put it back into neutral, obviously, because I'm just sitting there kind of reading the dash, because the display actually has a rolling text on it, and I don't remember the exact words, but I think it had something to do with the voltage or the battery. One or the other. I don't remember exactly how it was worded. But I'm looking at this text rolling on the screen. I'm thinking, all right, well, if it is an electrical problem or it's related to the battery or voltage, maybe there's an issue with the charging system. You know, maybe the battery was kind of low, but enough for the bike to get started and get me this far. And now that I've been riding it, you know, maybe it's not charging properly. So I thought, okay, maybe there's a problem there. I don't know if I'm actually going to get this bike started. So I tried to get it started again, and it doesn't want to go. All right, fine. What else can I do to get the bike started? You know, maybe, put it into gear, right? No. I'm sure some of you are probably going to think, doesn't sound anything wrong, right? Like, nothing sounds wrong with that situation of pulling the clutch in, putting it into gear, starting it up, and if it does start, you just go. You don't have to worry about putting it into gear. Because the issue that I was having was when I actually put it into gear. I actually would shift down and it would stall. Now, there was some funkiness going on there, so I may not remember everything exact, but basically, I came to the conclusion that I had to have it in gear already. It's more or less what I figured out. So, clutch is in, fingered lightly on the front brake, right? Just lightly, just so that I'm not moving. And again, it's in gear, but the clutch is in, right? Hit the start button, cranks over, starts up, and wouldn't you know, the bike launches forward. Not extremely fast, but quick enough to send me into the intersection. Now, keep in mind, I was 3 car lengths back from the actual intersection, and I don't know, maybe I have a guardian angel, but there was thankfully no one going through the intersection, no one to the left of me in the actual lane, because again, I'm like right on the shoulder up against the curb. And the whole time, like in that moment, it wasn't necessarily slow motion, but I thought, okay, turn, right? So I navigated the turn and I started going towards the highway. It was like 30 seconds away. And so I thought, well, I'm in first. I might as well shift into second gear. The bike started. Maybe I can limp this thing back to the dealership. And I shift into second, and it goes from showing me the number 1 to a dash, right? I don't think it's normally going to do that. However, for me on that particular day, that is what it did. It went from the number 1 to a dash, about a 1 Mississippi delay, and then the number 2 showed up and the bike jolted as it went into gear. I'm thinking, all right, well, that's not good. But keep in mind that error message that was on the display said something about voltage or whatever. So I don't know, maybe there's an electrical problem that's not allowing it to shift correctly. I have no idea what's going on with the bike at this point, but I'm right there, right next to the highway. It's only a kilometer. So all I got to do is cruise down there and then take it back to the dealership, which was probably going to take me at least another 5 minutes to kind of navigate over there, depending on traffic. So I get on the highway, shifting through the gears. I don't know what gear I was in, 4th gear, 5th gear, not really sure. But every single time I would shift, it would have a dash, there would be a 1 Mississippi delay, and then bang, go into gear again. And it wasn't like a loud bang or anything, it was just jolting, right? So I would be jolted into the next gear, and the whole time I'm thinking, the bike's not handling weird, right? I'm fully in control of the bike. It's just not shifting properly. It's almost like it's not registering that the clutch had been released. Because keep in mind, when I was at that intersection and I got basically launched into it, the clutch was in. I fully had my hand in on the clutch, and it just refused to acknowledge that the clutch lever was in. So keep that in mind. So I get off the highway. I'm coming up to another intersection. The light is green. There's a Tim Hortons to the right. You know what? Screw this. I'm not taking any more chances with this bike. This thing could potentially get worse or not function or put me in a really, really bad situation. It almost already did. So I pull into the Tim Hortons, turn the bike off, call up the dealership, say, hey, you guys need to come get me. There's something wrong with the bike. I'm not going to try to make it back to the dealership because I don't think I'm going to make it. There's something seriously wrong. Now, they were really good about this. I don't remember how long I had to wait, 20 minutes maybe. And so the dealership driver shows up with a trailer. We load the bike in. On the way back, we stopped at a convenience store. He got me a bottle of water. Like, really cool, apologetic. He's like, sorry, man. Like, we didn't think anything was wrong with the bike. Somebody else already rode it. So, again, this is one of the reasons why I won't mention the dealership that I was test riding this bike at, because they did everything right. They had someone riding the bike the weekend prior. They said it was good to go. And then when there were problems, thankfully, nothing bad seriously happened. They picked me up. They bought me a bottle of water and drove me back, apologized, and everything was all right. Now, this leads me to, well, I guess the conclusion of this video is what the heck went wrong with the bike? I never got an answer from them. They put it back up on Kijiji at a super reduced price. I'm thinking it was maybe a quarter of the price or a third of the price. I don't even remember now. But it was dirt cheap because clearly something was majorly wrong with it. Maybe there was a failed component that was obsolete or no longer available, or they just didn't want to deal with it. Whatever the case was, I never got an answer as to what was wrong with the bike, whatever broke or malfunctioned or whatever the issue was. Obviously, they weren't blaming me for the malfunction. They were just like, well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? Regardless of who was on the bike. They could have loaned it out to an employee for the weekend again, and it happened to them. Who knows? So it's unfortunate that it happened. Kind of left a bad taste in my mouth with Buell's, the 1125s anyway, just because of the malfunction of the bike and the fact that maybe whatever was wrong with it wasn't going to be a cheap or easy repair. So then, of course, I tell my buddies about this. I told them this story immediately after it happened. And my buddy jokingly said, oh, well, then that's the bike that you should own. You should own a bike that tries to kill you. Not a very good joke, because had the situation been any different at all, I could have easily sideswiped another vehicle, hit their mirror. If cars were going through the intersection at the time, I could have gotten into an accident. So, yes, everything turned out all right for me, thankfully. Again, maybe I have a guardian angel with me. However, this could have gone the complete opposite direction. Could have been really, really bad for me. However, not only just being a calm person in general, but having my rider training definitely came in handy. Being mindful of your surroundings and everything else and just kind of rolling with it, not panicking, definitely helped me out. And I actually told my riding instructor about this as well, and she said, well, good thing you made it through, you figured it out, you didn't panic, and you're here to talk about it. So she was proud of me, I guess, is what she was trying to say, but definitely a very scary situation. If it were anyone else, could have gone worse. Different timeline, you know. But that is my first and only experience with a Buell, and it didn't go very well. So I want to leave that with you guys because there is at least 29,000 and change of you guys who have watched my other Buell video, and you guys basically say, I don't know anything about Buells. You've suggested that I ride one, which I already have many years ago. Like I said, it's about 6 years ago. And I just didn't have the time to share this story with you guys, and I figured now is a good time. I didn't ride the bike long enough to really do a proper review on it, so you'll never see me do a review video on that particular model. Just this story, that is it, about how it malfunctioned on a test ride and, well, nearly killed me, nearly caused me to get into an accident, and thankfully it didn't. But the 1125, definitely a cool bike, but maybe not for me. I definitely still want an XB, well, any XB really. And, you know, I've kind of stopped looking, you know, basically they're still kind of hard to come by. I really want a blue one, but if I don't get one, it's not that big of a deal. But I may continue to make Buell videos on this channel for you guys because you guys seem to really like them, but I definitely wanted to get this story out there and also pass along a question for you guys or two. You know, based on what I can remember, based on what I told you guys, what do you think was wrong with the bike? Anybody have any ideas? Leave a comment down below if you think you know what was wrong with the bike. If you guys have had any experiences that are a little bit scary on a Buell, leave those down below as well. Let me know what the model was, what the issue was, if you know. And let's just share some stories about maybe close calls and how we managed to get out of them. So, again, this one could have gone worse, but thankfully it didn't. So hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button so I know that it's working. Comments, questions, leave them down below for me. And of course, be sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on future content on the channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.